And joining us next on Our Time, a couple of people with some very, very interesting stories about cycling. Mercer SuperCycle is the name of the organisation. Dawn Garrett and Mark Day join me. Hello, how are you?
Very well, very well.
SuperCycle,
yes.
What's it all about?
It's a charity bike ride.
Yep.
In fact, I think we could call it a 5-star charity bike ride.
It is, yeah.
Yeah, and we travel through regional South Australia and we raise money to build family homes for regional South Australians travelling to the QEH, for example, for cancer treatment.
Okay, now there's lots of competing bike rides and what have you. What makes yours different, Mark?
Look, it's not a mass participation event. It's we have pelotons with a maximum of 20 riders in each peloton. We have at least 2, often 3 marshals in each peloton that are wired up between the cars, support cars in front, support cars behind. So whereas you've got lots of mass participation rides, this is very high touch. As Dawn said, it's 5-star. It touches the community that we go through, and it is very much an experience.
So it's not a grueling thing like some of the obviously some of the other rides we've had with en masse. There's hundreds of people do it, and it's quite tiring.
Well, it is grueling in one respect because the maximum distance is 1,000 k's in a week. So you're doing 150 k's a day on average. So it's a reasonable time in the saddle if you do the full event. There are different options. You can ride 50 kilometres a day or 100 kilometres a day and choose to do 2 to 7 days. So you can choose your distance and your number of days. But
now you've been going since what,
2012, first ride.
And word of mouth, is this the main how people get to know about it? You said you have some international riders as well?
Yeah, look, it is. Last year we had a couple of riders from Singapore, one rider from the UK. At least 50% of the riders come from interstate, big contingent from Melbourne and Sydney. Any event like this is about what people feel after the ride and how they feel about doing it. And so word of mouth is definitely our big
and corporates.
push.
A lot of corporates put in teams.
Oh, excellent.
So, yeah, we have great corporate support. So I might give us 4 riders and get their whole company behind that team to help them raise the money.
So do you have, what's the financially, obviously you raise money, how successful has that been in the history of the...
Look, it's been pretty successful. After this ride, we should top $2 million in terms of fundraising. So typically we're raising between $400,000 and $500,000 per ride, and this year our target is $600,000.
And we've built 2 homes.
I was going to say to you, often in the past, people who come down for cancer treatment, their families need to be with them, and some of the accommodation is less than fantastic. So what are you aiming to do? What are you building? Is it like a resort-style thing, or is it something that can be comfortable?
It's a family home.
It is. It is a home, but it's more than just being comfortable. If you're going through the process of chemotherapy, the homes are designed to really allow the whole family to come down whilst the person is getting treatment. There's walking distance to a school, there's walking distance to shops, and there's walking distance to the QEH, where the first 2 homes are.
So where are those homes located?
Woodville West.
Woodville West, yeah. So, I mean, it's not something people come down for a week or 2. They're there for some time, aren't they, while this treatment goes on. What's the feedback from families? Have you had any? Oh,
fabulous. Yeah, it makes a world of difference to them. And we've had some lovely feedback, particularly not just from the patient, but also the carers for the patient. That's really hard, you know, if someone's daughter's in hospital, for the mother to come down and spend time, I think the carers really appreciate being with the patient.
So what's the plan for the future? Obviously, this is an ongoing thing. It started, as you say, a few years ago now. It's a once a year. It's an annual thing.
It's an annual thing. We thought at one stage we might pull the pin on it because it's an incredible amount of logistical work and organisation.
I was going to say you have to liaise with councils and the police
and
or whatever the roads.
Yeah.
Absolutely. But you know, just We've got, last year we had 70 riders for the first 2 days, then another 30 support crew involved, and cars and radios and food and everything else. But we realised as a board, gee, we're making all this money for a fantastic cause. So once the ball has been rolling, we're going to be going for as long as we can to make it bigger and better.
There is no end to this, obviously.
No.
So you don't have a finite number of homes.
No, next year's planned, and we're looking for the year after.
So we've obviously seen Tour Down Under and some of these other charity events that have hundreds of riders, and they go Wollonga Hill.
Yes, we do that.
Where's the route that you normally ride?
Well, it does change every year.
Yeah.
This year we start off from Adelaide and go through the Adelaide Hills to Warrinna.
Including Wollonga Hill.
Just to throw that in.
Going down's good for me, going up.
Oh, no, it's a beautifful view.
Oh, it's a lovely area.
It says Dawn, who hasn't actually done the ride yet.
Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah.
So Warrinna, and then Murray Bridge, Tanunda, Burra, down to Wallaroo, Clare, and then the last day is Clare back to Adelaide.
A few winery districts in there, do you notice that?
You're not stopping to have a drink, I won't let you. You're actually going to ride, apparently.
Oh.
Come on, your secret's out now.
Oh, the secret's out. I'm very nervous. I've always been a support crew, but I'm the only committee member that hasn't ridden, so I'm actually going to ride it, because I've just every year seen the cyclists have a fantastic experience, and also see them at the beginning of the ride very nervous. So the other thing, Mark, I think that makes it different is the riders just don't turn up on the day and say, I'm going to ride. We train them for 6 months before. Yeah. So you get an awful lot of support. So I'll be expected to turn up at some ungodly hour.
Absolutely.
Yes, can't wait. And so we're trained on cycling, how to ride in a peloton, because safety is very important. So all the riders have to know what they're doing. So a lovely camaraderie builds up, and so I want to be a part of that. I want to try what it's going to be like being on that bike.
Sounds fantastic. Yeah. And obviously you go at your own pace. It's not a race at all.
It's not a race, but we don't go
we don't go at our own pace. So the peloton, as I said before, is 20 riders, and those riders are expected to keep up to the pace of the peloton.
Oh, okay.
So at any one time we'll have a team of 4 on the front that are leading the peloton.
So it's serious stuff.
Oh, it is.
Well,
safety.
You've got to get from A to B.
Sure.
I mean, if you look at the last day, it's 180 kilometres. We've got to keep a reasonable pace going to get here in the light.
And we have to be safe. So we have a car in front, have a car behind.
Yes.
So the support crew, we would need everyone back there in one piece.
Sure.
So the best way of doing that is, Mark, to be in a peloton with the support car, big flashing lights, we're in radio contact, watching the traffic. So they have to ride at the same speed.
It's very professional.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it is. We the whole of the board has got a corporate background in risk management, and so the last thing we want is anyone getting hurt on the ride. And touch wood, it hasn't happened to date. So we need to just make sure that everyone knows what they're doing. They are trained. They're fit enough. They've actually got to be accredited at the end of the day to be fit enough and know the rules of riding in a peloton before they ride.
Yes, we've all heard Phil Liggett, of course, at Magnificent. You're going to have someone who's going to be recording the event for publicity, perhaps?
Yeah, look, we have, every year we have people doing filming, some terrific drone footage last year.
Oh, right.
Yes, we've got some lovely footage of that.
So I'm getting on in years now. Would I be suitable? What are the ages?
I actually think, Peter, you're probably a bit young.
A bit young. So what are the ages then?
Well, we've had father and sons do it, but I'd say around the 40s, 50s.
Well,
we
I
have
think
such a
probably
range of people.
It's a big range.
It's a big
the
range.
youngest would be mid 20s to the oldest being late 60s.
Yeah.
Gee,
Yeah.
okay, it's almost me.
And gender, yeah. And we're not looking at elite riders. We're looking at people who do some cycling, want a challenge. We've had some people that have bought a bike for the event.
Well,
and we train them.
Last year we had a couple of the girls participating that had never ridden before, so they bought their bikes just before the training season started in September, and they both did the full 1,000 Ks, and it was just a thrill to see them get better and better every week.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And learn what it's all about and understand how to be good to each other in a cycling event and other road users, and really just love the event.
So obviously something sparked this whole thing to begin with, because you see where people were going and it really wasn't up to stuff, and and this was the inspiration for this whole thing, yeah?
Well, look, the inspiration was I was at a conference in Melbourne with two colleagues, and one of the speakers was actually talking about a very similar ride that they've got over there. And they raise an enormous amount of money with these rides. And we came out of that conference and looked at each other and said, gee, nothing like that's happening in South Australia. Why don't we see if we can engage corporates, specifically the superannuation industry, we're all in that industry at that stage, and see if we can make some big money. So the first year we had only 10 riders, but we raised about $180,000 between us. And so that just started the ball rolling to say, let's see where this goes.
Were you surprised at the interest from corporates, Dawn?
No, I think it fits very well with corporate social responsibility. Most corporates have got a corporate social responsibility program, so it caters for that. It's also a big employee benefit, because if you get a team, I know at our work, in our weekly newsletter, every time there is something about what the team, because that's a serious fundraising commitment by the cyclists. Each cyclist has to raise at least $5,000.
Okay.
So it's a big commitment. So it gets a corporate behind their team to talk about what they're doing and the sausage sizzles and all those, and also a bit of marketing. There's a lot of networking goes on.
Is there a website quickly before we leave you?
Yes.
There is. It's supercycle.org.au. Fantastic.
Mark, Dawn, fabulous. All the best with it. Lovely to meet you.
Yes, you too. Hopefully we'll see you ride one day, Peter.
I may give it a shot. Thank you.
Fantastic. It's not till April, so plenty of time.
Well, just before we go, one more item.
The Hospital Research Foundation is our partners in this exercise, and they're the people who pull together the actual building of the houses.
Fantastic. Thanks, folks. Coming up after the break, one of our new sponsors, Hello World, here at Our Time.